Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Minh and I'm your host from NDIS Property Australia, and you're listening to the SDA Housing Podcast, a show that explains, highlights, guides and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Today we have a special guest speaker by the name of Sabina Silwal. Is that how I say it, Silwal?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. Sabina is from Direct Care Assistance from Melbourne. And she reached out to us on LinkedIn to say that she's having a wonderful time listening to our podcast and wanted to crash our show. And I thought, oh my God, another fan crashing our show. Okay. Sabina, how are you? Welcome aboard.
I'm very good. Thank you so much, Minh, for having me here today. And what a great intro. Thank you.
No worries. No, if you want intro, I'll give you the intro. Here it is. Here's the real intro. Okay. Sabina is a registered nurse and over 9 years of experience in the disability community, so nursing sector. So you were a nurse, is that right?
Yeah. I'm still a nurse. I haven't, gave up on my registration yet, so I'm still keeping up with my registration. There is a few requirements from the commissions, like with the APRA, and so that is still up to date.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, listen, who are you and what is Direct Care Assistance? What is this all about, your organisation?
Sure. So Direct Care Assistance, so I'm the company founder and I founded this company about 2 years ago. And when I had my, third child, it's only about 3 months old and I had the vision. So that's how it all started. So we are an NDIS registered provider providing home care, community, drop-in support services, supported independent living in Melbourne, Victoria. Yes. And also, we are based in Melbourne, Clayton, which is our head office, but we had another branch office in the Melbourne city as well. Just to cover, because we got some of the clientele, most of the clientele in West, different reasons. So it's just easier for us to, I would say, interview, do the meeting and transition and train to our staff.
Gotcha. So when you say us, may I ask how many is on your team and how many participants do you look after? What kind of numbers are your organisation showing?
Yeah, sure. So we were around a team of up to 60 employees up until the last month or so. But we had a steady growth over this month and the last month. So we are nearly a team of nearly to 90 at the mark. In terms of the participants, I feel like we're not so much into the quantity, but we are quite good, with the quality of the clients that we have and the hours that we provide at the moment.
Was it hard in the beginning, as you started off as a small business, to share your vision to your staff and your team and express that to participants and bring them on board and show them the care and the service that you provide as a provider?
Yes, I wouldn't say it has been the easy journey, but the most rewarding journey I have ever had in my life. Getting into the business and trying to wear a lot of different hats, it is a difficult things. You have to show that brave face, people around you. And although you have that great passion, but you have to make people, put that trust in you because, okay, you are the one. When someone refer the participants to you, you want to show them you actually care. And when there are a lot of people telling the same language, same words. And so you have to really stand out because I guess my team and myself, we bring a great service and with our background, clinical background, into the industry. So I think, it hasn't been easy, but, with my team and how progressively, we have grown, it is getting easier. But again, as we grow, there are other challenges and it's coming, but it's great. Yeah, loving this journey.
Good to hear. Now, I often see many businesses around Australia talk about their their team staff having nursing backgrounds and everything. Have you built a team of nurses in your operation, or have there been many inquiries of other staff coming on board who are happy, well, not happy, but who are leaving the nursing sector to be part of the disability sector? And what have you seen over the years? And are there many businesses that try to do that or not? What's your feedback on the topic there?
So I know a few of the people who are in this industry, like coming from that background. So I think not a great amount of people, but a few of them that I know, and I think it's a really great tools to have in this industry, because it gives you that deeper understanding, that clinical knowledge. Because often with the people with the either it's a physical disability or like intellectual or mental health disability, whatever that disability is, it'll help you to make that, the risk assessment. What are the risks? Okay, so what are the people you need? And then you are able to see the quality in the people, the staff you're going to recruit. So I think having that background is really helpful. And I've seen few of my industry leaders coming from this background. I think it's really great for our participants and for our business.
Gotcha. No, that's a great answer. What do you enjoy most about being a business owner, may I ask? Because as you said earlier, it's not always an easy path to get where you are now. And there's challenges with customers or clients, or in this case, participants. And then also, some businesses often have a revolving door that has workers and support workers and normal staff coming and going. I mean, they are the challenges of any small business, but you've also grown your a little bit more bigger. I mean, what do you enjoy most? What you do is my question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think since coming and running the business and being an entrepreneur, the most important thing and the most rewarding feel that I have is seeing the progress and seeing witnessing the participants like that, they thrive in their life with our right support and providing them with the right work, and seeing them how struggle they have, whether that's a social anxiety or trying to build a life skill in certain different areas, and with our help, and they're able to thrive and help them to have a better quality life. And I think that's one of the most rewarding experience that I am grateful for.
Wow. I can hear the energy and the passion that you have in your voice. So let me challenge this question to you then, Sabina. Everyone remembers their first.
Yeah.
Who was your first participant, and what were the challenges there, and where are they now in your business?
Okay, so I have to think back because I've got quite a few now. Yeah, so the first one, the participants I had with one of the adolescent clients, we were having quite a bit of a social anxiety to begin with. He's been, especially after the COVID, as isolating a lot from the public and not having that like peer connections or family sort of thing. So the coordinator reached out to us, and we are able to provide, we were not registered at the time, so the participants was a plan managed. So we engaged with the family. So at the time, I was doing the onboarding process, and I had a meeting with the family when I went to the house, and I could see the whole situation. And that's the thing love about my role. When I walk into that house, I'm able to see like where they're coming from, what sort of situation they're living in. I can like really dive in and unpack their everything, so I can provide them with the right support, selecting the right people. So because I really want to like ease off their life. So this guy was like really scared to make friends and a lot of social anxiety. So I provided with him the worker, and then the worker, we had a really right approach, like taking it very slow. So building that connection, that rapport with him, which was really important to build that connections further, and with the right help. And he's now just out in the community, doing a lot of different things. He has started working as well. So it's amazing to see that the journey, of that participants, and it's really, really rewarding.
Wow, that's awesome. Great story to hear. How do families and participants and the families vet the provider in front of them to determine if it's the best fit, and how does your organization stand out? That is the question.
Okay, awesome. So, our engagement process, the client intake process is very thorough. And then whenever I've got the team, I ensure they got the right values that aligns with our company. And that value is the most important thing, is the care. So whenever they, go for a meet and greet with the family, they go through and unpack all the things, their goals, their vision, and what they want to achieve to help them thrive in their life. And really with that initial, meeting and letting family know how we do our business service to like delivery model, of course, like explaining to their level of understanding. And they really want to they're building that trust is really important at the initial stage. And from there on, like ongoingly, managing that relationship and seeing how they're going, how they're feeling about the services has really, really helped to gain that confidence and that belief, from our participants to our company. And that is the reason why I'm very proud to say we've got the high retention of the participants, because not necessarily, I'll just give you a little bit of a story, how we do. So the other day, like I just, sometimes not necessarily the client will have to reach out to us whenever there is a problem or, they have something. Sometimes they have a lot going on in their life and they might not get opportunity to, bring and then to say, hey, this is happening. So what we do at Direct Care Assistance is just giving a call. Hey, how are you? How are you going? How is the care been delivering? Is there any issue? Is there anything we can do? And sometimes, it brings one or two things and they are so thankful for, because that's something that's been going on their head, okay, I've got to do this. And then if we give them a simple call instead and to ask, how are you going? Is there anything we can do to help you? Is there been any issue that hasn't been resolved? And do you like us to do anything? And that's just a single call, it just helps the participants to, I guess, to take off the pressure off their plate. And yeah, so that's been really great, actually, giving the call and checking on our participants. That's a simple thing, but I guess it plays a big thing on their life.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of times participants don't have much interaction to the outside world, and their connection to the outside
Correct.
really is the support service. And
exactly. Yeah. And it's a simple thing.
Yeah, simple thing.
Yeah.
I totally
It's a simple, care thing. That's the most important, I know people talk about like a business and blah, 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 all the different worlds, but the most important thing that we need is the care. And that one single thing is enough.
You should change you should change your motto on your business, a motto on your website, right? It should say the following, and this is my advice.
I might, yes.
And use these words for your business on your business card, right?
Yeah.
It says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And we
And we get a phone call, from family or, this is wonderful, they care about this, because once they're given all of the information that they need at the initial stage, and we really ensure that we go dive in details, about every single need. So the family don't have to repeat themselves, because we know, because we know, they got a lot going on. So my job is to help their life make easy.
Gotcha. So question to you, what is the demographic of your business? Are there many wheelchair-bound participants? Are there intellectual disabilities like autism and Down syndrome? What does that, over the course of the evolution of your business, what does that become looking more like?
Yeah. So it really varies. So we got a mix of few people with a high physical need, with a complex, which is such as with a bowel complex, like a pig feeding, tracheostomy, and wheelchair bound. We have to use a waist ceiling as well. A pig feeding, so complex, and with the mental health, people with the anxiety, depression, and schizophrenia, all the different, bipolar, different conditions as well. So we serve all the different people, with all walks of life. We got the right team to support them. Yeah, so we really got the various different varieties of the client. But our service area is very niche. So we don't provide a plan management, all these different services. We do provide drop-in, home care, supported independent living, medium-term accommodation, short-term accommodation, but people with all different types of disability, intellectual, physical, mental health conditions.
Gotcha. I want to ask you about one of those things you mentioned, short-term accommodation. We've spoken about it quite a lot in our podcast. What is your experience thus far on the need for short-term accommodation? Do many of your participants actually engage? and utilize their short-term STL funding.
Yeah.
What's your business feedback on that service as a provider?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing for the participants. So I've used a SDF funding model with a lot of my participants, particularly for whoever transitioning out of the hospital. So during that transition period when they're trying to find, especially people with the high phys needs, they might be looking for SDA and it's hard to find or navigate the system with the SDA, the location and supply and demand. So in the different area because they want to be close to the family members. So it's a lot of things to go through. I think in this transition period, having this SDA funding is really helpful for the family, and it also gives them the opportunity for the provider to find the right housing for the time being as a transition period, which I have used for a few of our participants in the past, and is still a few of them coming into our seal accommodation and using STA for the 30 days. And if it's still no luck, then we go into the MTA. But I think it's a great tool for the family and for the provider to help that transition and make that smoother.
Gotcha. Wonderful. So with the growth of your business, where do you see it being in 1 year from today?
1 year. Okay, so let's dive in. So at the moment, my role sort of like heading towards the business operation and then the planning side of things. So we're not looking to expand into state yet, although I have got a lot of the proposal coming from interstate, seeing our growth and then our vision and values. But I'm really, really not like rushing because I really want to ensure we have I've got a collaboration, a partnership in the different state. I really want to have a similar values, with the people that I can trust and they care that our participants the same way as we do in here. But in terms of like in 1 year, we've got a big vision, so, but one thing at a time. We want to probably like expand a still supported independent living in different locations, just because I see there are such a great need for the people and I want them to have more opportunity, more options available and provide them the service. Yeah, I think we will increase more numbers in the supported independent living and really niche our service down that way.
Gotcha. Question to you. In the press the last year, the industry commentary and articles and blogs and all the kind of stuff says it's challenging being a provider in the NDIS. There's compliance, there is changing rules by the NDIA, obviously from different governments running the show.
Yeah.
What have you seen as challenges in this sector from your perspective as a small business? And then what kind of change do you expect to see that you would like to see happen more?
Sure.
To have the NDIS.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the challenges as being a service provider, I have, I thought like it would, of course, it's hard to navigate the system sometimes because one of the challenges that I faced is having like a low like cut down on funding for the participants. For example, I had a few of my participants who have got the high physical support or a lot of the mental health issue and really needed that one-to-one attention because they were having that ratio, 1-2 or 1-3. And then all of a sudden, there are like issues being raised. Okay, there's having a lot of behaviors, but people don't pay attention to what was causing the behaviors. Like they don't unpack, So as being a provider, I think it's important for me to unpack, why they're having those behavior, where it's coming from, like diving down and finding the root. So they might be not getting the proper attention and the time and people to sit down with them because when there is a ratios being 1-3 or 1-2 and 1-2, and the person really needs 1-1. So they're probably like having that, the deficit with the ratio and not people not being listened to. And that's when the things start to go downhill. And then, so we really have to fight. And that's one of the challenges that I face. Like, no. So what I do, part of my job is like advocate and educate the family. And most importantly, sometimes I have to advocate the best interest of my participants to get the right funding that they need so they can, have whatever the issue, whatever the goal that they have to achieve that goal and thrive in their life. Because I can guarantee a lot of my participants I've seen in the past with the right support and right funding and the right ratio of support, they have thrived. Like, honestly, like one of the person that I had was 1 to 3, and he was just like, just out of his way, going out of his way, and a lot of behaviors and things like that. And we got the practitioners involved and everything, created the plan, but nothing worked. So, and we changed the ratio, we sort of had to dive in. Okay, that's probably because he's not getting enough attention and the time, and, people giving enough time. And we had to unpack that. And as soon as we changed the funding model and provided them the support that the guy need, and it cut down the behaviors issue by 50%.
Wonderful story. So speaking of this, if a participant of yours needs to become one-to-one funding and care, does your organisation do the paperwork or engagement with the NDIA, or do you send them back to their plan manager or support coordinator to handle all that side of the things?
Yeah. So what we do here at Direct Care Assistance, we do really, because our care is the most important thing. So what we do is it's of course a multidisciplinary approach. So collaborating within the team, support coordinator, the behavioral practitioner, service provider like myself, OT to write the functional assessment. So we all collaborate together and we all discuss, on the best interest of the client to get what they need. So we collaborate together, and then we submit it to get the best outcome for our participants.
Gotcha. So speaking of one-to-one, do you have a lot of one-to-one participants on your books?
Yes, we do, because a lot of the time people with the, that needing the positive behaviour support, needing more attention and more time. So we do have quite a lot of the one-to-one, and people with the high physical needs as well. Sometimes the client chose to live by themselves, and that's often when it's not applicable to share with someone. And then as long as it's reasonable and necessary, then yes, we have been providing one-to-one, and we have a few of the line coming this month as well.
Okay, good. So I think you're one of the very rare SIL providers we've brought on board to this podcast. And our listeners are more along the lines of how does SDA work with the SIL provider and all that kind of stuff. So in your business at the moment, tell me about your actual stats in terms of, do you have SIL housing that you rent? How many? And if so, how many? Do you work with other SDA providers? Do they come to you with stock that's empty, or do you go search for it? How many on your books that require SDA housing, and what areas, so we can let our listeners know? So if they do have a property in that area, we can reach out to us and reach out to you directly, whatever.
Yeah.
So what are your SIL housing needs and SDA housing needs that your business would need for our listeners or our network to help you with?
Sure. So Direct Care Assistance has a 5 field property up to the date, and we have secured those houses already, and we got participants. We got the participants for all of those houses. So some of them we have transitioned, and some of them on the pipeline coming through slowly. In regards to the SDA, we have got a collaboration with some of the companies, and also I have a good connections with the hospital network and a social worker. I have served a few of their participants in the past, and they're really impressed, how we transitioned, how we cared, and did the whole transitioning thing really smooth with the right team. So that has really helped us to, build and grow our business. So that is the reason we have, I had to reach out to the SDA providers. Hey, I've got these participants coming. Would you be able to help? And it's sort of working collaboratively with the SDA providers, in different reasons. I've got a great connections with the hospital team and a few of the SDA housing team, and we sort of reach out to each other, to best support our client. Does that sort of answer your question, Minh?
It does, but it also doesn't.
Okay. Thanks.
So I'll go off a tangent here, and that is the process of SIL providers with their participants who may work with a landlord SDA provider or an SDA provider, right? And they say, yes, we have a participant for fully accessible wheelchair access, please, in a house in Point Cook, for example, Point Cook in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
But you only have one participant, and there would be a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, 2-car design, brand new house sitting there. And the provider says, well, we have a house here. What do you have? And you say, well, we have one participant.
Yeah.
Okay. So they will accept this scenario. You move in, but the goal of the landlord is to get 2 or maybe 3 participants, right? And the challenge in this example is you may not have a participant who is fully accessible in the area, and the provider's trying to find more participants to fill up the house on behalf of the owner. How would you, as a business still provider, work with a housing provider, SDA provider, to try to fill up 1 or 2 more rooms when, one, you may not have any more participants in the area who want to be in the cook, for example, and 2, there may be 2 or 3 other providers with participants who want to live in this house. So there obviously is a clash here of who's providing care in the house. Yeah. And the landlord wanting, I just want 2 or 3 participants in my house. So obviously the SDA provider is trying to juggle an outcome which is a win-win-win for everyone. How you, as a provider, try and work with the housing provider to try and make a win-win situation for everyone here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in this situation, like I think what helps is like being creative. Like you can be creative, and then you can achieve so much more when you are creative. So sometimes it can be hard. Yes, I hear that, and it has been a struggle in the past for me. But I think there comes down to a network who in the industry as well. So I guess, like sometimes if it does, like which has happened in the past, but it hasn't happened lately because of the network, the people that I have and that I know that we work closely with as well. But if it happens, then I would be just being creative, like putting like wherever the participants, whether it's a fully accessible or like a HPS client in one of the, high physical SDA housing, and putting short-term accommodation or MTA for someone else transitioning out of the hospital in the meantime. So at least the owner is not losing, so much. And also we have been able to assist the participants in meantime. So I think we can be creative, and that also helping the both parties.
What
do you think? What do you think of that?
Great answer. Now I wanna ask further on what you said there. So you have the house, you have the participant in the room, one room. You may have a transitional MTA participant in there for 2 or 3 months. Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you consider even putting in STA, short-term respite booking in one of the spare rooms or not?
Absolutely. And that was the thing that I mentioned earlier. So STA and the MTA. So that is still serving well to the owner. And also you are helping the participants to transition in the meantime.
Great. So this is where the majority of our listeners who are investors don't understand this, because MTA and STA and SIL are totally different cousins of the SDA field. So I want to ask you this question then. If I was the landlord and you were the SIL provider with ABC housing provider, and there were 2 spare rooms, I would say to you, or I would say to the housing provider, Mr. Housing Provider, please talk to Sabina, the SIL provider who's there on site, how she intends to maximise or help me alleviate and use those spare rooms. And then Sabina would say to me, you would say to me, we'll try to get, if we get any MTA requests, we'll put them into one of the spare rooms. Great. And I would say to you, well, what is the income for that? And you would say to me, well, it's $136 per day, up to a maximum of 90 days. And then go from there. Yeah. Right. Understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then my next question would be, as a landlord owner to the housing provider, well, please ask Sabina if she does bring in 1 or 2 bookings per quarter, which are short-term accommodation respite bookings. How does that look with regards to my return for that room as a landlord with this SIL provider who will make funds and provide service and pay money back to the housing provider, which gives money back to me, landlord? How would that look from your perspective?
Okay. So, honestly speaking, this the STA, we can be creative and do that way, but I haven't personally done myself, because STA is the package thing, it's a per day thing, and that including the rent or the activity. It's a whole complete package, the grocery and including the service itself. So I think I don't know, but I'm not sure. But I think you can be creative and have that conversation with the SDA and work on the mutual benefit. Mutual benefit, and because it's you're providing the service, but you also using the SDA's accommodation. So I'm not sure in terms of the numbers how it works, but I think you can have that conversation with the SDA and then and work on the mutual benefit of the participant.
And that's fine, because if this house was near a hospital, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and there was 1 or 2 spare rooms, it could be used as a short-term 2-3 day
Absolutely
booking, because
Yeah.
it's going to happen if your condition as a still provider with the hospital is nearby is producing or creating
Yeah.
opportunities for you to have intake of transitional couple of days here and there for the hospital, to the hospital. That's be perfect. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Like said, it comes down to the individual negotiation between the still provider
Absolutely.
with the house provider with the landlord to go from there. Yes.
And that's the thing with the NDIS. You can be creative and you can get so much out of the thing that serves really well to the participants. The people would think like, you have to fit into the box. You have to do the thing. No. Like in terms of the compliance wise, yes. But when serving the participants, when you're creative, like I'm just trying to give an example. Yeah, like for example, just the SDA, like giving the options and whereas the participants is getting the right service, the housing nearby the hospital, and still the owner is making, the house is not going vacant for him. So there is a benefit for all the personnel, and that's a great thing.
Yeah. My advice to anyone who has an empty SDA house or property out there in Australia, don't think that it's empty and I've invested too much of my money and I don't know if I bought a dud. There's always creative ways to make it work with providers and participants and the community.
Yeah.
So let me just remind you all the numbers again. Under MTA, to qualify for MTA, the participant, they may be in a hospital, they could be in a nursing home, could be in another house, whatever. The NDIS pays $136 per day, I believe that number to be, times 7.
Has it gone up? Okay.
Yeah. It's almost $950 a week for that one room.
Yeah.
For the one participant. That's one there, right? And then
Absolutely.
and this is a 4-bedroom house here, for example. There's another. I have another one coming in as MTA, overlapping, right? There's also another $1,000 a week right there in MTA medium-term funding. That's almost $2,000 a week right there for the landlord, just of those two.
Absolutely.
And
more than houses.
That's better than zero. That's the point.
Exactly.
Better than zero.
Yeah. Sometimes we just have to show our numbers to the owners and put things into perspective, because they are quite new to this world. So putting things into perspective while also serving on the best interest of the participants, and it helps them make the informed decision.
Yes, and obviously to get MTA funding, you must be a SDA participant waiting for an SDA construction of a property
to come through. Yeah.
Now,
I'm doing 2 of the MTA at the moment. So we got one house in Bayswater, which is just an all sealed property, but it is accessible with the ramps, accessible toilets and bathrooms. So doing 2 of the MTAs in that house, like SDA to begin with, and then we'll transition to MTA for the next 90 days.
My last question to you on MTA is this, and I'm going off record, off tangent here.
Okay.
If after 90 days it finishes, in theory, they have to move on to another location, in theory. Can the participant apply for a renewal to stay where they are?
Renew or stay where they are.
Meaning it's 90 days is the max, right?
Yeah.
For that dwelling. When 90 days is expired, they have to move on to another location. Because you might have a 1-year construction of a house, 1 year, right?
Absolutely.
So 90 days. Do you believe, I think I've heard multiple different answers. Do you believe that you can stay and renew to stay where you are for another 90 days?
Yeah. As per my understanding, they can stay where they are and just justify the reason. As long as you've got the valid reason, it should be acceptable, as per my understanding.
Yeah, you're right, because they might not have anywhere to go to. They can't be homeless.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Sabina, I think I've really used up my 38 minutes of this audio trying to understand who you are and your thoughts and your mind and where you're going. And I really appreciate it. So my last question to you is, what have been your favorite podcast episodes on our 130 published so far?
Sure. So, Joe, I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts, Minh. You wouldn't believe it, but I might not remember like everyone's name, but I know the content. So it's one of my favorite things, when people have to unwind, like they go for a walk. Like I do go for a walk myself, I'm a quite active person myself, but like whenever I have to unwind and do things, like I love like diving into the good book, listening to the podcast, whether that's NDIS related, one of yours, or just the like mindset or lifestyle or like growing a business or like entrepreneur women doing different things. I always like diving into the podcast, a book, learning and growing. That's a type of my unwind. So one of the podcasts that I like about you was probably, I would say, let's bring back the context here. You did talk about a lot of the building construction company, talking about, like how the SDA providers gone wrong, like picking up the, role builders. There are a lot of the builders coming up in the market saying, okay, they're building NDIS housing and giving that false information. But I can't remember exactly which one it is, but you have really emphasized on how important it is to find the right builder. So you don't make that, because as soon as you get the one single thing wrong, it messes up the whole thing, like down the track. For example, if you get the doorway or something wrong and it doesn't fit into the category, so you already not compliant, with ready, and you can't have the participants into that house. So I think it's really, really important. And also for me, I have gained, even though I'm not a SDA provider, but I'm able to build a great knowledge, through your podcast around like what is SDA, what are the requirements, the construction of the builder, and the council thing, so many other things. Like just having that knowledge, it's really interesting to me, and it's all through your podcast. But to the specific one, I don't remember the podcast name, but yeah, I have been listening, most of your podcasts, I would say.
That's okay. Well, listen, I thank you so much for your time. Myself and Debbie are flying out of Melbourne in about 10 days' time for the SDA conference. I really hope we could meet up for a coffee or for lunch on one of those 3 days, and just say hello, please. That'll be nice.
That would be wonderful, Minh. And thank you so much for having me here today. I appreciate, having this chat with you, letting everybody know what we do, who we are. And to my audience, whoever is listening, if you are after the provider with the, physical support or drop-in support or supported independent living, please get in touch with us. And we may be able to help you. And even if you're not, we'll definitely, navigate you and connect you to the right person.
That's wonderful. Sabina, what is your website and what is your 1300 number, please?
Sure. So my website is www.directcareassistance.com.au, and my business landline number is 1300 493 717. And I just wanted to share something to my listeners as well. After running a business for about 15 months now, we got the Australian Small Business Award finalist for 2023, and we were in Sydney last month, the month before in April, which was a great recognition for us. And I just wanted to thank you to this wonderful community for supporting us in this journey.
Wonderful. Congratulations on that. And I hope you win more and more and more prizes in the future about how great your business is going. Congratulations.
Thank you so much,
Sabina, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Great chatting to you, Minh. Thank you so much. Have a great, wonderful day.
Bye-bye, you too.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.